Okay, Baba, welcome to Bibi Toomey Presents today. We're honored to have with us one of the foremost linguists in terms of Medu Nefer, and we'll get into that, Baba Bonotchi Montgomery. He's bringing to us the title, Baba Bonotchi, is There Are No Gods or Atheists. I see it in parentheses this time, or atheists in ancient Kemet. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to you, Baba Bonotchi. And like I said, welcome on behalf of Bibi Toomey, and thank you for everybody for joining. You're in for a real treat.
Hotep, and I would like to say Nez Cadet, which is a Kemetic saying, which means I seek your face, I seek your attention. And with that statement is it illustrates a good understanding of the language in terms of the Meta-Neter language is a very practical language. So when you meet someone, what do? You greet their face. So they are also, this gives you an approach to life. You're supposed to approach life head on, face first. You engage it. So this language it's a powerful and a magical language in terms of it gives you it's very instructive. So that using it, you're going to find that it gives you what I like to call conceptual constructs that enable you to approach the world in a much more fuller way. And with that said, I'm going to start with the quote from my ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark, who's one of the most brilliant minds that we have produced as a people.
Yeah.
We must stop misinterpreting words. We have misinterpreted words and have been the victims of the tyranny of words, of the tyranny of words for far too long. Now, it's interesting because our oppression is very seldom framed in this manner. We always look at the physical representation of racism and things like that. But we know that words and the mental impact of words have more of an impact on a person because it controls their behavior than actually the physical impact of something does. So with that said, and we have to examine words, few words in the English language have screwed up the minds of our people. And you know the word I want to say because that's the impact it has had. The word God. Outside of the word, I should say the word God and nigger have done more to screw up our minds than any other word. And we don't realize that these two words have just corrupted our minds. So in this situation, we're going to deal with how the concept of, or really, we're going to go more into what the netures actually are. In part one, we dealt with the misuse of the word God in terms of it being a good word to explain the functioning of the netures or the neteru. So God. So this is going to be a review of what the first part. This is a small review. So with that said, we have to, and based on Dr. Clark's quote, let's get a broader understanding how words actually function. We have to understand that words act as a container. They are specific containers of a culture. Now, with that said, God, based upon American culture and concepts, produces a word that has a specific shape. So just for the sake of an analogy, let's use a cup. And we have God in one cup and nature in another cup. So we can see that because of the culture, these words, because words are containers, and look at them as cups, they have entirely different shapes. You say, okay, well, that's cool, but why? What makes this, this a larger shape than this one? As we said, words are containers and conveyors of concepts. So when I use a word, the concepts in those words, I'm conveying them to you. I'm literally putting thoughts into your brain. So words are conveyors of concepts. So let's look at the concept of nature. Nature as a concept It can it can contain rocks, birds, humans, uh, animals. All aspects of nature is nature. Everything is nature, and that's a problem because in our brains we think of nature, especially how we have been uh, told how it functions, that it means spiritual. It means something that is special and unique. It does. But at the same time, it means the ordinary. And that's the problem. That's something hard for our brains to connect. Why? Because if you look at how this word God operates, God, God is in how it's used in Western culture. It stands by itself. The closest thing to God is Jesus. So you can see that conceptually, God is not a broad enough concept culturally to contain the concept of nature. So when you use nature as God, you are corrupting it, you're shrinking it, and you are making it mean something that was never even intended. Mm. Western concept, God stands alone. The whole point of the Western concept is that I'm God and you ain't. Mm-hmm. This is a major point that everybody understands. When you, especially today, they've been, the preachers have been going off on all day long, telling you what God expects of you, what God wants of you, and how pissed off God are at you because you are a sinner. So you see, God stands alone. The Europeans understand this because they understand that they look at themselves as God and they know that you ain't. Mm-hmm. And this is something that when you use the God concept, you are automatically falling under this mindset. You're automatically separating yourself from who you are. So that's a problem, but it is a problem. It's a mindset. The whole use of God is a mindset, whereas it separates the world, spiritual and physical aspects. When I like to ask people all the time, the foundation of every spiritual, the foundation of every so-called spiritual act is a physical initiation. So that means that if we understood that concept correctly, we would understand that there is no separation between a person's physical act and their spiritualness, because one is an expression of the other and there's absolutely no separation. Now, if we looked at the meta-nature conceptually correctly, I think that that's something that could be plainly understood. The most compatible idea, and this is really, now we're starting to part two. The most compatible idea in Western culture with the concept of nature is nature. Now, the term nature, etymology is not connected to nature, but conceptually it is, even though it's spelled and sounds similar. Mm. Nature represents a principle, an idea, a concept. I know that's hard for folks to deal with, because when you think of principles, ideas, and concepts, you think of something that is not real. Mm-hmm. That's a problem, because in African culture, when you understand the power of words, you understand that words are real. So a concept is an idea about something which is expressed by way of words. They are very real. And we're going to illustrate some of that today. In terms of understanding the nature, you have to get the firm understanding between nature and nature.
Hey, Baba, real quick before you come to, can you show in presentation mode if you
Oh, it's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it. I'm so busy. I'm just trying to,
Yes, okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, now this thing is in the way. Oh, okay, I can do it like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, next slide. Now, an interesting thing is the people of Kemet, to represent plurality, they represented things in threes. In meta nature, plurality is three, not two. Mm. So we have a process of how they represent it of the nature, but when they mean more than one nature, the